Are live. It's funny when it says go live, sometimes it's not actually live. But hey, everybody, welcome back to Prince's Friend, exploring music through Prince. And, it's kind of an interesting thing. Of course, I just had it playing back there. Thank you to anybody who is going to show up on a Wednesday afternoon at 2:15. I feel like I'm in Purple Rain, and I feel like Billy is going to come and be like, "Hey, what's up with this 2:15 on a Wednesday night shit?" And I'll just be like, "Billy, relax." I don't know. It popped in my head. Anyway, last week I actually did a video. Hey everybody, by the way, who's showing up? Will and Dustin, you're the first here, so thank you. So last week I put out a video kind of talking about a little bit of the behind the scenes reaction to the Prince Netflix documentary and how it was all going. I shared with you a public tweet. Now I didn't like, take different, messages or anything that were secret messages or anything like that. I took some public posts. I shared them, showed that Kat wasn't very happy with what kind of happened, and that, Jill Jones, she posted that it was, it was an okay experience with the recording with the documentary, and just kind of talked about it in general. I wanted to just give everybody just a little bit of like, all right, everybody, like, kind of calm down. It's cool. Not everybody's going to be happy. Not everybody is everybody's at different stages of mourning. And I would say that even though the majority of the comments that we got were people showing support for Kat and everybody there, including my own words, I am totally Team Kat, 100%. We'll go over it in just a second. But there also seemed to be in the comments maybe a few wrong interpretations of what was actually happening. So what ended up happening was yesterday, I ended up having a conversation with Kat. It was not recorded, but she essentially said like, "Hey, you should." Anything that we're talking about here, except for a few things that I'm going to keep those secret. There were some definite things going on. But she had a few like points of clarification and everything. Hey Wayne, and hey Artful, and hey Kenny, I see a lot of regulars are starting to pop up there. These sorts of like live streams and stuff, it's because of you guys, so thank you for popping up and being here with me. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe to the channel. The join button helps you support, or you can check out Patreon, however you want to do it. I have a thing here. Hold on. I got like thing here. So bam, I'm gonna leave that up for you for anybody who wants to check out the Patreon or follow me on any of my social medias. I've been a little bit quiet this week because I am prepping for surgery, and by prepping I mean like I have the heebie-jeebies and whatnot. Kimberly, and hey, see, I'm in it, and just see SCR, uh, hey, Vicky. I don't get to see you all that much. Definitely haven't caught you live. You haven't caught me live in a while, but I've been missing you. Anyway, sorry. Let's get back to it. So I kind of just wanted to go over some of the. I'm not going to like call out specific comments, but I'm just going to talk about some of the things that were misconstrued generally. The first one is that the three questions that Kat shared with us, like some of them that were not necessary, like she had an issue with. It was, did you know of any drug use from Prince? Do you know what the song Sister is about? And what's the other one? Oh, and do you think Prince was murdered? So we kind of had a discussion, me and some of the other people in the comments. Yes, these are questions that you might want to throw out there to see if anybody has any thoughts that might be worth including in the documentary. But, for me, like, yes, while you might not have a problem with that, or I might not have a problem with that, and these are like generally questions that maybe the public wants an answer to. Everyone mourns at their own excuse me, everybody mourns at their own speed. Okay, so after my conversation with Kat, she made it clear that she's very much still in mourning, which was, I had picked that up anyway. I already kind of knew that just from listening to other interviews with her and the few conversations that I've had with her. It's obvious that she's still in mourning, which means that the documentarians pretty much just had no clue who they were interviewing. They obviously didn't listen to any of her previous interviews, which, you know, she shows what kind of person she is, and what kind of stuff she's going to take and not take in those previous interviews. So it's weird to me that they would, you know, go to her and ask these questions of her in the first place, right? So, like, these questions, in my mind, they really do kind of give an idea of a possible direction that the documentary might be going. Questions about drugs and murder and incest, like, those are the questions that the documentary wanted to focus on instead of like the music, which is what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping that the documentary ends up being about the music itself, and sure, a bit about the man. You know, I would love to learn new things about Prince as a person as well, definitely. But I feel like his contribution to the world was his music. And even in Neil Carlin's book, he said that Prince would often muddy the waters, and he would make it so that his past was a mystery because he didn't want people to focus on the fact that he came from a broken home and that he had all these things. Like, that's not what it's about, right? It's supposed to be about the music. Um, on top of that, those were only 3 questions of a full 2-hour interview that they ended up doing with Kat. And Kat did tell me that going into it, she was cautiously optimistic about the direction that it would go. She was, you know, a little bit hesitant, but she agreed to do it. And that, yeah, it ended up not going that well, apparently. But that actually those were just 3 questions, and that there were other questions that she also did not like as well, because it wasn't just like 3 questions and it was like a 10-minute interview. That would be like a nothing interview. So over the course of 2 hours, you know, she wasn't going to list every question that, you know, she got, but there were issues with more than just those 3 questions. So that is what she told me. So just for me, another comment that I got a lot was in the last video was, you know, that, you know, people were like, oh, well, I trust what Jill says more than what I trust of Kat says. So here's the interesting thing, is that that it was kind of relayed to me, is that Jill's interview was actually after Kat's. I believe that Kat had hers on Thursday and then Jill would have done hers on Friday. So in my mind, the difference is likely because they learned how, you know, not to do an interview. I mean, in any case, Jill having a good interview and her experience can be the best one ever, and it could be the best, you know, everything. Everybody was smiling and it was amazing. It could be all of that, right? That doesn't discount that Kat did not have that same experience. That's like saying, oh, that guy over there, he beat you up. Well, he was really nice to me. So I don't know what you mean. You know, it's just like, no, like, what? No. 2 people can have this, you know, do the same thing and have different experiences from this. And again, it's like, that's how you have to approach these sorts of things. You can't just go and talk to everybody exactly the same way. You got to know who you're talking to. I mean, that's just my thing. And honestly, in the way that I saw it, is that, you know, there was Kat and there was Jill. They both had bad experiences. I don't see that either of their experiences were quote unquote wrong. They were different, you know? So Jill was like, hey, I had a good experience. I feel like she was doing that in order to just kind of calm the waters so that everybody didn't necessarily get hyperbolic based on Kat's experience. But also, like, you know, Kat was trying to come out and be, you know, truthful with what happened to her. So to have people then come out afterwards and be like, no, 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 it was actually really great. It's just like, it's also kind of a way to almost try to discredit Kat in a way. It's weird. You know us here. I just look at everything even. I go across the board. I take everything as it is, and we can interpret it. And again, there's this side, and there's the truth somewhere in the middle. And I always stand by that. It's definitely exactly. Naya and Elena, both experiences are valid. So one does not discredit the other or discount the other. The another one that I got. Hi Tanya, I saw you just popped up. So another comment that seemed to pop up a lot. So and again, like for me, like anyway, there were a whole lot of things where there was something in Kat's statement where she mentioned, and I'm not going to get paid for this. And there were apparently people don't like it when money gets mentioned. So when Kat mentioned that, people all of a sudden just start jumping on the fact that she said that she wasn't going to get paid for doing the documentary. So first off, uh, from Kat, she says she's never tried to make money off of Prince's name, and she's never done anything like that. However, in this case, there's actually a difference here with this documentary. Okay, so first off, getting paid to me is fundamental. Why are you going to go and interview these people and if you, I mean, they should be getting paid. That's my thought. I believe all of them should be getting paid. So Netflix is a multi-billion-dollar company investing millions of dollars in this documentary. In my mind, why shouldn't everybody involved get paid? These stories that these people are sharing, they're going to make other people tons of money, right? So, but not the people telling the stories themselves. That is weird to me. That is very weird. And so in my mind, that's stupid. They all should be getting paid. Hey Johnny, I see you. But regardless of that, that the fact that they should be offering money to everybody, Kat shared with me that what the contract says is that the people getting interviewed are not getting paid because they're being treated, I believe the term was, as non-union actors. And if you're non-union, then, there you go. If you're union, then you have to get paid a certain amount. That's how it works, right? So if you are a union member, that means a member of SAG, you legally have to be paid for your involvement in any movie or documentary or anything like that. That's even under the language of the actual contract that apparently was given to Kat, that they should get paid at least a base rate if they are a union member versus if they are a non-union member. And guess what? Kat is a union member. So the fact that she stated that she wasn't getting paid for it, that's a big deal, because it's not like you just, oh, you join SAG and then there you go, right? It's like you join SAG, you have to renew it constantly. She has her own production company, like she's doing a lot. She is an actor. And she should get paid as an actor. And this is, again, under the language of the actual contract that they asked her to sign, was that she was not going to get paid, even though she is a union member of SAG. SAG is the Screen Actors Guild. For the person who just asked that. Sorry, I forgot to. Acronyms can be, some people know them, some people don't. So let's think about that though, right? Let's just think about this from, this level up here, right? The eye level, the observer level, right? Let's think about it. So you sit down in good faith to answer questions about your good friend, which you are still in mourning over, and then they show you disrespect with these questions. And when you look, and the contract says they're not going to end up paying you, there's so many reactions that I could have to this, but yeah, that's something I'd walk away from too. Especially, like, it would be different. Like, I might even say, man, maybe I'm okay with not getting paid since it was such a good experience. But if it's a bad experience, no, definitely not. I'm not going to sign that contract, especially if I'm doing it without getting paid. So I'm just saying that's my thought on it. So, and I'm also kind of wondering, because, I actually mentioned this in the last video, was that because Kat did not sign the contract and her NDA and all of that stuff, that technically she was okay to talk about her experience. But then Jill, and I believe one other person, came out and said, oh, well, our experience was really good, and here's what that was like. I hope that they don't get in trouble, because technically that contract should say that should say you're not allowed to talk about it. So hopefully that doesn't get like Jill Jones in trouble or anything. But I found that it was an interesting point. I was like, oh, wait a minute. Her coming out to say the opposite of what Kat said, like that could get Jill in trouble, which kind of sucks. So hopefully that doesn't happen. But one of the things too is that Kat and her manager Haley, they've actually been in talks with the Prince estate and everyone involved. And they're all asking her to come back, and they're all very apologetic. And that's just, for me, that's just another layer that kind of reinforces it all. Like, if everybody is kind of on her side, then it basically, if she was wrong in what she was saying here, then probably they would be sending her cease and desists and like all of this stuff. Like they'd be trying to discredit her. They'd be doing all these other things to try and make it so that, people don't listen to her because they don't want, the documentary. But according to Kat, they've been very apologetic, and they're asking like, hey, please come back, and all of that stuff. So that's where we're at with that. So a couple of just other notes that I just want to do. There's just one other big one that I want to do, and this comes up whenever I talk about one of the Prince alum. Obviously, there are a few people like Maite and Kat and all of that stuff who just have people who, doesn't matter what they do, people are going to attack them. So there's this idea that celebrities aren't people, right? So like, it's like some people out there just believe that like, oh, well, if somebody talks about Kat, I am definitely allowed to just join in the conversation and just talk about how much I hate her and how crazy she is and all of that stuff. And like making public statements like she's crazy, that can have, lasting psychological effects. That can really hurt people emotionally. It's generally called cyberbullying, right? So, but of course, it's not cyberbullying if it's a celebrity, because if it's a celebrity, well, they're a public figure, so they just have to put up with it. But it's weird because I recall the interview in 1999 that Prince did with Kurt Loder on MTV, and it was kind of when they talked to Prince about changing his name. He said that like, when I changed my name, all of the papers who would criticize me or say I was crazy, they stopped having an effect on me. And what that tells me is that they were having an effect on Prince. That everybody who wants to come out, and it's one thing, and again, I'm not saying don't criticize. It's one thing to criticize somebody or to say, hey, I think that you're wrong and here's why, and let's have a discussion and everything. But it's another thing to just be like, he's crazy, he's dumb, oh my God, all these other things. Because like, again, that means that stuff was affecting Prince to the level that he's like, when I changed my name, I was like, whew, I could go woosah. And I think that everybody should kind of take a step back and think twice about what they post online. Like, not even just in this situation. Everybody should think about what they post everywhere, right? If you are posting hate, and you're just trying to start flame wars and have fights and all of that stuff online, you are not contributing to the overall public good. By the way, thank you so much, Susan, for the super chat. Usually there's you're supposed to include a question or something. Susan, if you have a question, I'll answer it. Either way, I appreciate the super chat. Thank you. But yeah, so like, also, we read the comments, okay? Like, I have people who come into my comments and they'll be like, huh, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. And I'm like, tell me what? Like, I'm not this guy. I'm not posting a video from somebody else's channel and sharing it with you. That's me. Talk to me. I'm in the comments. So, but there's like this weird thought that you can divorce yourself from it. But guess what? I've had people, Kat is I don't know if I want to say she's a fan. I'm more a fan of her than she is of me, but she watches my videos. She hangs out in the comments too. She watches the stuff and she will respond to people. Some of you know that firsthand in the comments because, she will go off on somebody sometimes. So like she's been down there. Gail Chapman. I had a couple of comments from Lisa Coleman, I think around last celebration. Wally's been in there. Neil's been in there. So like, it's not just like this place that's just for, people to congregate and start hating. It's like I'm inviting all of you and I'm inviting all of the Prince alum and everybody, all of you need to come too. Like it's a wonderful place to kind of hang out. And I do try to weed out as much of that negativity and stuff as I can, right? We need to show as much love to each other, but don't ever assume that putting a comment on a video is not going to get seen by somebody. Like it just doesn't make any sense, right? To do something like that. So like a commenter, and I want to give a shout out to it was Wind Kenton, who is a regular here as well. But he posted, everybody should have Kat in their corner. And I agree with that. I agree that like Kat is, she's real, right? Like she says it like it is, and she says it like she speaks her mind, and she is amazing for that. And again, like our conversation yesterday that we had, it was really it was really great. I learned a lot about her perspective on things, and I learned a lot about what's happening behind the scenes. And again, that gave me more insight into the information that I relayed in the last video, but also I wanted to share this information with you guys too, and I did get her permission to do so, because I feel like this is good context there, because there's a lot of people that if Kat says, and they're not going to pay me, they don't understand that there's like union regulations that they're supposed to. It's not her money grubbing. It's not her like, oh, well, they better pay me because I'm all the hot shit and stuff. It's like, no, like, you're supposed to pay her for what, like for that. Like I don't see a problem with her mentioning that. And I think that's the problem, is that everybody wants to take every little nitpick every word and take a statement and try and twist it in a way. And Kat was sharing the realness with us of what it was like to be a part of this documentary, and she did not have a good experience. I did see that there was a question there in the comments, or in the chat, that said, is she coming back? That is not information that she gave to me, so I cannot say yes or no to that. But I'm sure that we will know more in the future. So as of today, she's not a part of it, but we'll see what ends up happening. So with that said, that's really what I wanted to come on here and talk about. I didn't realize it was going to take 20 minutes to get through all of that, because I apparently I had a lot to say about that, and Kat had a lot to say, and I wanted to not only relay the specific things that she told me, but I also wanted to give my context on that and everything. It was a really nice conversation that I had with her. I do want to hit just maybe a couple of questions, because I did see there's probably a few that went by that I missed. So let me make sure. Sending prayers for your upcoming surgery. Thank you. I appreciate that so much, Kimberly. Let's see. So Naya and Elena says, I asked Apollonia if she would be a part of the doc. She very firmly said no. She wants to share her own story or on her own terms. I can respect that. Who are you most excited to hear from on the doc? I mean, it's a good question. Apollonia, I know, has a book coming out. So what I would say is that being a part of the documentary would I only help to sell more copies of her book, I would say. If you're thinking about cross marketing and whatnot. But who am I interested in? I don't even know who's a part of it at this point. So it's hard for me to say who I'm most interested in hearing from, because I don't know who's a part of it. So I don't know. I don't. I'm literally trying to think about it. I'm sure most of like the regulars will be there. But I would love to hear something from I would love to hear more from maybe some of those people who worked with worked with Prince for like short periods of time, as well as the people who worked with at long periods of time, because I feel like there's different stories to be told there, whether you were there for years or whether you like got in, worked with Prince for a bit and then left. Like I would love to hear. I mean, so these would be people who like maybe wouldn't be like huge, you know, people who everybody would know. So there's, gosh, now I'm forgetting her name. Gosh, I suck. Margot, the one who did Standing at the Altar, I think her name is Maggie or Margot. If anybody remembers, please tell me that. I forgot her name, but she's got an amazing voice, and she worked with Prince for like a shorter period of time than other people did. But I would love to hear her experience. I'd love to hear like Bonnie Raitt's experience, because I know that her and Prince talked a lot during a certain period of time as well. I would love to hear any Margie. See, I knew it was Maggie or something. Margie Cox. Oh, I love her voice so much, and I feel bad for forgetting her name. Anyway, so there's definitely people that I would like to hear from, but I want to hear from all spectrums. Like I don't want to just hear from just the people who were with them for years. I want to hear everybody's stories, or as many people's stories as possible. I actually do have more information on the people who are making the documentary, but that's going to be a separate video. This one really was to address what's happening with Kat and all of the craziness in my comments, because Kat is watching. Kat's watching. I'm just saying. So let's see here. Any other questions? Did Kat get paid for the Prince podcast episode she was on? I mean, that's a good question. Probably not. Most people who come on like a podcast is different. When I interview somebody, they don't get paid in anything but like promotion. So probably not, because us people who are doing the podcast and stuff, most of us are just doing it out of love. We're not doing it for money. We're doing it for love. And because we are not doing it for money, that means that we don't have money to pay people. If I had to pay everybody who came on my channel, it would just be me all the time, at always, and it would never be anyone else. because YouTube doesn't pay. YouTube don't pay like that. Just saying. YouTube doesn't pay like that until you're like into the millions of subs. When you're in your millions, you got money, right? I'm at 25,000. It's not that much. Trust me. It's enough to keep it going at this point. So yeah, I mean, it looks like there's not too many questions. Let me see. Susan, you asked one. I'm getting, where is that? Let me see. Yeah, with the super chat. Thank you so much, Susan. I'm getting a Prince love symbol necklace and ring to match in about 2 weeks with purple stones. Awesome. And there's so many people in the chat right now saying how much they love Kat. We all love you, Kat. Definitely. Please, like, we love you. Don't hide. Yeah, there's a lot of haters out there. We love you and we want to hear more from you. So thank you so much, Susan, for the comment there. Let me see here. Yeah. So yeah. So I mean, thank you to everybody who showed up again at 2:15 on a Wednesday afternoon. It's kind of a crazy thing right now that's even a thing. But this was when I was like, oh man, like my kid is like eating lunch and I could probably sneak away for just a little bit. But anyway, again, thank you to everybody who showed up. We're currently at 157 people on this live stream, and that I think our like max that we've ever had is like 170 something to that effect, I think. So really, really cool. Just know that you guys are actually available at this time. Maybe I'm gonna make this a normal time for me. Oh, true. For some of you, it's like early evening. That's true. Thank you, Artful. So I have I have a question here that I'm going to highlight here because, but again, it's not one that I necessarily have control over. So it says, Prince's friend, can you do an interview with Morris Day and the Time? So first off, I interviewed Jelly Bean Johnson, and I'm trying to get. I would love to get like in individual interviews with some of those people, but I send emails, and sometimes I get responses and sometimes I do not get responses. And for the most part, I'll say I don't get responses. I've gotten a couple here and there, and when I do get those responses, usually I arrange something, and then there you go. I did like Morris Day and the Time were actually here in the Tampa Bay area, and I tried to get a hold of somebody. I tried the venue, I tried their management email, I tried emailing their fans, their fan like email. I tried emailing like everywhere, and I didn't get any response. And I was like, see, that would have been amazing. I could have driven, 25 minutes or like 45 minutes across the bridge and enjoyed an amazing show and interviewed them. And I think that that could have been, really, really cool. And it just hasn't happened yet. We'll see what happens. I would love to interview Morris Day and the Time, but I think I think Morris Day specifically, it's going to be a bit after the release of his book. So like maybe I'll try again next year, because like, there's higher profile interviews for them to do than mine. So I can understand why they'd be like, well, I have all these other channels that have hundreds of thousands, if not millions of followers. I mean, I guess I could come and do one that's what's it, like the a 25,000 one. I guess that's okay. Hey, Kat, see, Kat's in the comments now. See, I told you she'd be on this channel. So yes, I mean, I guess I could, but there you go. Rosie Gaines, I would love to. I know that Rosie Gaines's daughter often comments here on the channel. So open invite, and I've posted it to her a few times, but open invite, I would totally love for Rosie to come on. I would love to talk with Rosie. So then there's Maite. I've been trying for Maite for years at this point. The closest I got was my friend Tanya, who is actually here in the comments as well, in the chat. But Tanya actually did, I forgot what it's called. The thing where you ask the person to do like a 30-second like little video or something. And so I have that little 30-second video from Maite to me, which I thought was pretty cool. It's like Cameo, I think it's what it's called, Cameo. So like I have that little video, and it's wonderful. Nothing's really come of it, but also I haven't been like pursuing it hardcore or anything, but just, if anybody knows Maite, hey, tell her I want to talk to her. Maite is one of my faves, so I would love to talk to Maite. Brown Mark, I'm actually in the middle of reading his book, and then after that I plan on reaching out, and others. So yeah, others is vague, but yeah, there's tons of others to do it. So I noticed that there's a whole, now the Cat showed up. I know a lot of people are like, oh man, Cat's amazing. Here's one from Susan again. I'm not trying to just like harp on Susan's, but Kat, you should get your own podcast. I'd be down with that. That sounds wonderful, Kat. I'd listen. I think it's wonderful. And yes, it is. And for the few people who are like, is that really you? It is actually Kat. I have verified this. It is definitely actually her. So, and that's the thing, right? Is that this video here is to show how much we love Kat, and I wanted to just like dispel all of the negativity that was happening in the comments of the other video, especially after I just had a conversation with Kat and she revealed those additional details to me. So I feel like it was definitely important for me to jump on here and really, really just kind of talk about this stuff. And I want to say thank you to Kat for having that conversation with me yesterday, and thank you for allowing me to come on and share some of those details. I know some of sometimes there you go. So anyway, so all the love to Kat. You guys are awesome, and And yeah, and there's not really that many questions for me to answer at this point. More just kind of like everybody loves Cat. So I'm with y'all there. I'm definitely with y'all there. But with that in mind, I'm not going to belabor the video and keep it going for too long because I'm sure my kids are done with their with their lunch by this point. So, um, like I said, we love you, Cat. Keep fighting the good fight. You are amazing. I do have one extra question here. When are the Sign of the Times Super Deluxe review coming? I'm in the middle of writing it and listening and writing it and listening. Probably it'll be next week. Because if it was going to be this week, I would have already started it next week. But in my outlining, it's going to be like 8 videos, guys, and it's not one video per disc. There's just so much to discuss. So it's going to be a 2-week endeavor, I think, with the Sign of the Times Deluxe. So I don't want to start it and then have my surgery and then finish it up. I'm waiting until after my surgery and then I'm going to go ahead and do it. And thank you to everybody who is, saying, you know, good luck with the surgery and break a leg, I guess is I guess what it'll say. But yeah, I mean, and somebody said like I should interview Cat, like, the invitation's open. Cat knows that the invitation is open, but even if I just have a fun conversation with Cat and then I just come and share some stuff here, I'm fine with that too. So it doesn't, cat is again, cat's the real deal. So anyway, I love you all. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell. Also, there's a weird thing, and I've been saying it in a couple of my videos recently, but there's a thing with the bell that if you hit the bell, you assume that it's giving you all of the updates, but it doesn't. It's actually, there's a setting for some updates, and then there's another one for all. So if you have already hit the bell, make sure that you're set to all. Otherwise, you're not going to get all, and you would have missed out on this amazing live stream here. So there you go. Oh, man. So there's that. And then don't forget to check out either, YouTube membership or Patreon stuff. I actually just shared a really cool video with patrons that I couldn't get over here for the YouTube members, which sucks. But I'll be sharing something special with the YouTube members very soon. With that in mind, thank you, everybody. I love you all. May you live to see the dawn. See you guys later. Thank you again to Cat.